Are recording.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the February 23rd meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust. I am Mo Handel, Select Board Chair. This open meeting is being conducted remotely consistent with current state regulations and is being recorded, and anything shared or stated will be a matter of public record. All supporting materials for this meeting including the agenda are available on the town's website, www.needhamma.gov, unless otherwise noted. Public access to this meeting does not ensure that there will be public participation unless required by law, and there will be no public participation at this meeting. First, we'll confirm that all members of the Affordable Housing Trust are present. Mary Ann Cooley.
Here.
Dan Matthews.
Here.
Avery Newton.
Here.
Matt Borelli.
Here.
John Bullion.
Here.
And the chair is here. I didn't leave anybody out, did I? Oh, Kate Fitzpatrick, I beg your pardon.
I'm actually a member of this committee. Strange, but true.
No, well, and certainly welcome. As a first order of business, I would ask for a motion that this meeting would be continued to a date to be announced in the event that there is technical difficulty resulting from this broadcast.
So moved. Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We come to the motion. Mary Ann Cooley.
Aye.
Dan Matthews.
Aye.
Avery Newton.
Aye.
Matt Borelli.
Aye.
John Bullion.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The yeses have it. Thank you. That
No,
brings
you missed the town manager.
Oh, and Kate. Kate, I'll get it right. I'm sorry.
Yes. It's
Okay.
unusual.
That makes it unanimous. Thank you. That brings us to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Any discussion? We'll start with Kate Fitzpatrick so I don't forget.
Yes.
Mary Ann Cooley.
Yes.
Avery Newton.
Yes.
Dan Matthews.
Yes.
Matt Borelli.
Yes.
John Bullion, and the chair votes yes, and that's unanimous.
Wait, I didn't vote.
Oh, John Bullion.
Aye.
Okay. That makes it unanimous. There's got to be a better way to do this. We're going to have an update on the the Emergency Rental Assistance Program update and modifications. And I believe that item is going to be handled by...
That one's me. Yep. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, a quick update. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program launched in November. And I'd say the main point is that the program is running smoothly, and we are helping people that have really hit financial hard times due to the pandemic. But the number of applications and the total dollars committed to date are lower than we had anticipated. So we are recommending to the trust that we change the program parameters to extend the benefits per enrollee from a maximum of 3 months of rental assistance out to 6 months for each enrolled household. So I will talk through in more detail kind of the program status and how we came to that recommendation, but I do want to thank the program team on this. So Karen Suneberg, our community housing specialist, Lee Newman, our director of Planning and Community Development, Cindy Roy Gonzalez, who isn't on the call, but our public information officer, she's been heavily involved, and Jennifer Van Kampen, who's the executive director of Metro West Collaborative Development. Metro West CD is the third-party administrator that was selected on contract to administer this program, and they've been doing an excellent job with it. So there is updates in your packet, but I'll give you some highlights on program enrollment stats. We've had 35 applicants of those 17 households have enrolled, and 10 are still in the process of completing their applications. Those 17 households are homes to 37 Needham residents, including 11 children, and 6 of the 17 households have a resident in them who's over the age of 55. 60% of households identify as white, 24% as Black, and 18% as other races and ethnicities. And I'd say that the vast majority of households are 1 and 2 bedroom units in town. So when we first got monthly updates from Metro West CD and we noticed that the enrollment levels were low, the first thing we did was take a second look at our outreach plan. So there is a full summary in your packet of those strategies, but I'll highlight that we did traditional methods of press releases, social media, posting to the town's website. We translated the materials into Russian and Chinese, and we worked to get the message out through other town departments and the schools, but also our community partners, the community council, the Y, the clergy. Our state legislative delegation has been really good getting the word out. One of the things I do want to flag is Kate, Lee, Karen, and I have been meeting with the largest rental management companies in town. And that's been ongoing since the fall. So we've talked about ERAP and all of those. And it's borne out that a number of the applicants to the program first heard about it from their landlords. So that was time well spent. So we've now done 2 rounds of outreach, one leading up to the launch in November and another one in December and January. And I want to walk through a forecasting spreadsheet. Would it be helpful if I share my screen for that? Or do, yes,
Please.
I'm seeing
That
nodding
would be
heads.
helpful, I think.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Hold everything. Sorry about that.
No problem. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Great.
Can you bump up the font a little?
Yes.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Let me see if I can get one more click in. Nope. There we go.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot on there. So just to talk through what you're looking at from left to right, these are the enrolled households here, the number of bedrooms per unit, how the enrollee heard about the program, their current monthly rent, their ERAP, their emergency rental assistance commitment from us. Then as you get through December through April, what is highlighted are the benefits that are already committed under the current program guidelines. So for these 17 households, the assistance that we're guaranteeing them to provide under the current program. What is listed March through November that is not highlighted is 2 things. It is forecasting what would be spent down if everyone currently enrolled got 6 months of benefits, and it is including down here enrolling 10 additional households in the program now through May. So another thanks to Jennifer, who built out this forecast for us very thoughtfully, but this model would get us down here to spending down nearly the entire $170,000 program allocation. So to date, under our current program guidelines, we've committed $56,355. That's including direct rental assistance and the fees. That leaves $113,645,000 still available to expend. I will note that because we got that grant for $50,000, Metro CD has been spending that money down first. So the vast majority of the remaining funds are actually the CPA dollars available to spend. Let me take this away for now. We can come back to it if you want. I do just want to, oh, Marianne.
Katie, I'm just curious, if we do not spend the funds, will they go back to CPC?
So they will, and I will also note though that under the CARES Act, we have now been informed that rental assistance is a reimbursable expense for the town dollars. So even if we spend the full $120,000, the town can get 100% reimbursement. Definitively for the rental assistance, we are double checking about the administrative fee portion of that. And so those dollars would come back to the town. Obviously, there'd be a lag time. but then they would get reallocated back to the funds that the CPC voted them originally out of.
Great,
Okay, great to know.
excellent.
Mr. Chair,
So
Yes,
all right, just on that note, is there a cap, Katie? So if there isn't, should it be a request we might want to make again, knowing that we could get reimbursed again? Is there a cap to that number under the CARES Act that we know about?
not as far as I'm aware.
Okay, so it might just be something to consider if this is successful and we're going to get reimbursed, to then apply as a request to the CPC for future dollars if we're going to get reimbursed.
and I have Mary Ann, go ahead, and then I have a question.
So I actually had another thought that I was carrying in my head, and I don't know if it's possible. Do we have some small businesses who would benefit from property tax relief? Now, this is kind of a different adjacent question, but if we were not seeing the full uptake on housing, I'm just trying to think, is there some other use that
I mean, are we allowed to do that is what you're asking, basically.
we're not?
No, I'm asking.
No, I don't think so.
Kate's saying no.
So the language that allows CPA dollars to be used explicitly, the statute speaks to rental assistance. But our guidance on when we went through the CPC process originally is that it couldn't be used for businesses. It also cannot be used for mortgage assistance.
Question, if I may. Do we know what our market penetration is? Do we think we've gotten most of the people who are really needing this, or have we not failed, but have we not been successful at reaching the breadth of it? Do you know? Is there any sense?
Great question. I think we have brainstormed every type of outreach that we could think of if others have other suggestions, because we still, even if the trust decides to extend the benefits to 6 months, we still want to enroll another 10 households. So we have exhausted everything we thought of, but we're always open to more ideas.
Yeah, and I wasn't meaning to imply that we were doing anything less than we should be. I'm just trying to figure out how successful we are at being able to reach folks.
Yeah.
But no way to know, right? Go ahead, Dan.
Dan?
Yeah, when we talk about the reimbursability, is there some overall cap of I know that of reimbursement money that can come to the town, or is this are we unlimited in terms of what we can expend and get covered for? Or I'm not sure I understand this.
Kate, I don't know if you want to speak to the overall allocation.
There's an overall allocation that's been provided under the CARES funding from last year, and there are still appropriations that have not come through the Commonwealth. It's my understanding that FEMA is separate from that, and that I don't know of a cap on the FEMA funds, but we could get you some clarifying information on that.
Yeah, I guess I'm satisfied that we're on a good course here, because we wanted to do this anyway, and the fact that the money is going to come back, that's great. But I'm not sure I want to then put more money in on the assumption that we're going to get additional reimbursement unless that's assured, because that's not our bargain with town meeting.
Right.
Marianne?
Katie, I also wondered, so you said that we exclusively, or we excluded mortgages. And is that a local provision? Would they be covered under the CARES Act if there was somebody mortgage-wise who needed assistance?
We excluded mortgages because the advice from council is that CPA funds weren't permitted by state statute to be used for that purpose.
Okay.
Other communities, maybe Karen can speak to this, have used CDBG dollars for that. I'm thinking Newton specifically. We don't have that funding type available. So I don't think it is an option available to us for the CPC dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Dan?
Yeah, I think my recollection, which Katie could confirm, but just for purposes of this discussion, is the initiative for this came through, I think, the Mass Housing Partnership, which sort of said, look in this, in the current situation, we're drawing your attention to this language in the Massachusetts CPA statute, which will allow this to be used for this kind of program, which they then described. So we've stayed, to my knowledge, entirely within the four corners of that opinion from Mass Housing.
Correct.
Any other comments or questions?
Just Mo, and I don't know as far as administration, but if you look at general residence zone, that's really where you're going to have the multifamily. So I don't know if there's a way, and I see the marketing efforts to reach out to those units, or that might be too big of a pool, or if somehow in our assessment we can, if it says unit 1 or 2, search by something that has a unit number, that might be another way. I'm just thinking of the direct campaigning to households, because I know landlords, and I know they're not familiar with this program, but they own just one or 2 units. So just think of the areas that would contain multifamily instead of the larger buildings. So just something to think about. It might be an administrative difficulty to have all these mailings unless we can put it into a water sewer bill.
Karen, do you have something?
We did, Metro West CD, we provided them with a spreadsheet of all landlords that had 3 or more units, and they did a mailing twice out to those particular landlords. We didn't do the 1 or 2 investor owners.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Then let's move to the next item on our agenda, which is the
Mr. Chair, we should probably take a vote on whether to extend the benefits from.
oh yes, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to extend the benefits for 3 months? Is that right?
Second,
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we come to the vote. Mary Ann,
Aye.
Dan,
yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Matt,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. That's unanimous. Thank you. Now we come to the small repair grant program. Who's going to talk to us about that? Karen, you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay.
So we thought you'd want an update on where we are on that program. We had 4 participants from the first round and 9 from the second round. With an allocation, we've pretty much committed the $50,000 so far, and we have invoices for about half that amount. Given the winter, I expect that as spring starts breaking, we'll have an uptick in invoices and payments. There was one participant who thought they were going to use the full $4,000, but based on a number of changes, they decided only to use $600. There's a round 1 participant who insists he wants to participate, but I'm kind of skeptical about his ability to do that. We'll see how that plays out, but we might be down to about $45,000 of actual commitments. We look forward to town meeting approval for additional $50,000 and to see where that goes next year.
Mr. Chair, if I could add that the article is in the warrant under the, it should be under the submission of the Affordable Housing Trust. I'll make sure that happens. And the Finance Committee did recommend approval of that article.
Okay, and do we need to take an action here tonight on this? No. Okay.
Well, since it's the trust article, it's probably appropriate for the trust to,
Endorse it?
yes.
Is there a motion to endorse the small repair grant program article?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we come to the vote. Mary Ann,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Kate, Matt,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. That's unanimous. Thank you. The next item is housing and zoning analysis. Is this just informational or is it an agenda item? I don't have the, let me get the agenda here.
So I can
It's
speak to
under
that.
housing, other housing issues, but
Katie can speak to it.
Yeah, so in your agenda packets, there was a draft version of an overview that Karen and Lee put together on housing and zoning and in Needham policy decisions and programs that are in place to get at the diversity of our housing stock. So that was discussed last night at Newari, but we wanted to make sure that you all had a copy of it as well.
okay. Is there anything you want to say about it for this meeting, for the record? No? It stands for itself. It's excellent work. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, it's a very, very thorough and complete piece of work and very helpful to have.
Yes. And going forward, it'll be essential, I think, and we'll be updating it as we go.
To Chair, on the fair housing item, I think Katie touched on it, but Katie, Lee, Karen, and I met with a number of the largest rental facilities in town, like as Katie said, starting in the fall, and really talked to them about not only about the emergency rental assistance, but also the town's commitment to fair housing, and heard some of their strategies and offered some, any help that the town could provide, and made some good connections on that front. So we actually have a couple of more to go, and we'll be finishing that up in the next month.
Thank you. Monitoring and compliance. Anything on that?
That's Karen.
Karen?
Yeah, I'll say a few words on that. And I can just go back briefly to the fair housing issues, and wanted to just mention that as part of our participation in the home consortium, we have contributed through some funding, as well as from Dan's time and some other representatives of the town, in a what's called an analysis of impediments, basically a regional fair housing plan. And there's, I think, revved up interest on the part of the home consortium to really work more closely together on implementing further fair housing related actions to better promote equal access to housing. And so I think there will be some opportunities to do that through more outreach on the issue, and some other things that are coming out of some subcommittees from the home consortium. So I just thought you might be interested in learning about that.
I do have a question about that. And are we reaching out to the banks to make sure that people of color and Black people get equal consideration on mortgage approvals? I was at an MAPC seminar this afternoon on our sub area, and it appears that the approval rate for people by income differs widely by race. So I think that part of the equation, at least in home ownership, is making sure that everybody gets equal consideration, and maybe even there should be some more aggressive outreach on the part of the banks. I don't know if they're part of the discussion or not.
There are quite a few suggestions in the regional fair housing plan to deal with some of these issues, and I'd have to go back.
I didn't mean to put you on the
And
spot.
whether we're going to be able to do that specifically to local lenders, but I'm sure it's on the radar screen to try to address.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, I know everybody knows this, including the people that have worked on the home project these many years. But as you know, but Newari was talking about this topic last night, and the big missing piece in this is billions of dollars of federal funding nationwide for capital costs. It's been missing for so long that people that have come into the discussion in the last decade don't even know that that's supposed to be there, and therefore they don't know that it was there historically, and they don't know that it's missing, and they don't know that that's why so many of these things don't work. Like there were questions at Newari last night about why our affordable units primarily, the privately owned affordable units primarily only reach down to the 80% AMI level. That's because of the missing funding. Now, we did go to a Newton Chamber event with Representative Clark, who addressed that squarely and really came out and said, this is infrastructure and has to be understood that way in terms of getting funding back into public capital and for repair and additional units of publicly funded affordable housing. But she's one of the first Congress people that I've heard talk about that in a decade.
Okay.
Great.
Anything else on housing and zoning analysis?
I would add, Mr. Chair, if, in terms of other items, and I'm sorry, Karen, did you?
No.
I forgot to mention, I just wanted to mention that we are doing our annual monitoring to ensure that all the affordable units remain in compliance with the affordable housing requirements. And so we've embarked on that. And then at this point, we're starting to get materials in and sort them through. So we've started on that.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? Housing and zoning analysis. I guess I leapt ahead there. That's in the report, right?
That's the report.
So we've covered that. So that means that we have to determine the next meeting date.
So
Unless
just one more
there's other
thing, Mr.
business.
Chair, I wanted to let the trust know that Katie and Karen and Lee and I will be meeting with the CPC liaison on housing. They're interested in increasing the amount that they set aside for housing and are interested in things that the Housing Trust might be thinking about for the future. So we'll report back to you at your next meeting, which would be in the early summer unless there's some compelling reason to meet earlier than that. But we'll keep you posted if this, depending on what the CPC decides to do with its allocation to the Community Housing Reserve at the time.
Okay, thank you. And
Chairman?
go ahead, Matt.
Just a question for Karen, as far as, is there anything that you're hearing percolating for affordable housing projects? I know sometimes developers approach you with some interest in pieces of land. Is there anything on the horizon that you expect, or is it pretty much?
Nothing that I've heard.
Okay, and I wonder, because we've reached our 10%, the developers might feel that there's a bar for that. So something to think about as we move ahead. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to Karen, Katie, and Lee for the work. And if there's any other business, if not, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Lee, Kate,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So that's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll see some of you before the summer. And thank you very much again.
Thank you,
Thank
Avery.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you shortly.
Everyone.